I can't believe Christmas is almost here, so I'm trying to squeeze in as many Christmas manis as I can before it's over. I feel like this year I've done a really good mixture of traditional versus non-traditional Christmas colors, and I've been really enjoying doing both of them. I feel like also this year retro Christmas has been a really big thing, which is like the pastel versions of the red and greens, and those have been really fun as well. But in today's video, I'm doing a traditional Christmas mani, and I'm doing some hand glitter placement as well for some nail art. So if you want to see how I complete this look, stick around and we'll get into it. Jumping right into today's mani, I will be using ManiBoss dip powders as well as their liquids, and I do have an ambassador code with ManiBoss, so you can use my code GENIE to save 10% off your orders at any time. The first color I'm going to be starting off with for today's mani is Cherry Bomb, and it looks more orange in the video than it actually is, and it drives me nuts. I've talked about this in previous videos before, about it's so hard to capture a true red on camera because it always looks orange. Now this is a bit of a warmer toned red, and it may have a slight orange undertone, but on me, I don't really see that orange. I feel like just on video it looks super orange, but it is a beautiful, bright, vibrant red color. And while I think Cherry Bomb is a great red for Christmas manis, I do feel like it can be used year round. Like, I think it'd be really great for a Valentine's Day mani, 4th of July manis, or even just a one color power mani. I think this would be perfect just because it's so vibrant and bright. So I went ahead and switched around the order of my liquids because I don't know why I had it the way I had it, but I thought it would be easier to have my dip base to the right side of my Liquid Chaos trio. So Cherry Bomb is going to go on my thumb, index finger, and pinky, and I'm going to do 2 dips of each on each of those fingers. And as bright as this color is, you'll see that there is no staining, and I always appreciate it when a dip powder doesn't stain my skin because it can be such a pain to get off that staining. I mean, there are some powders I love enough where I can put up with the staining, but if I can get a bright, vibrant color without the staining, all the better. To clean up my cuticle area and sidewalls, I am using these reusable cuticle sticks I can also get at ManiBoss, and you get like a pack of 10 of them for like $2, so they're super inexpensive, and I love that they're reusable. So what I always like to use is my precision tools from other companies, and these are just as good. I like that they're not too thick like the orangewood sticks, so it doesn't take too much at my cuticle area, and these are actually pretty sharp as well, so you have to be careful or else you may be able to draw blood with these, but I do like that they're pointy because I get a cleaner line using them. Once I finish with my first layer of Cherry Bomb on all 3 fingers, I'm going to go ahead and dust off the excess powder, and by the time I finish with my thumb and index finger, my pinky is dry enough to where I can dust that off, because you always want to make sure that your dip base is fully dry before you start dusting off the powder. So now I'm going to get into my second layer of Cherry Bomb, and as you can sort of see for my first layer, it wasn't fully opaque, so you can still see my nail line, especially on my thumb, but after my second dip, I do have full opacity. While I'm finishing off my second layer, I'm curious on if you celebrate Christmas, what are your plans? Do you have any fun plans? Are you traveling at all? So I'm lucky enough to where my families are about 2.5-ish hours away from where I live. So my in-laws are about 45 minutes away from my family, so it makes it a little bit easier but more exhausting over the holidays, because we never have to choose which family we want to spend a holiday with. We're actually able to see both, which is really nice, but it's also really exhausting because we spend a lot of time traveling between the families, but it all makes it really worth it. So we'll be doing Christmas Eve, I believe, dinner and presents with my in-laws, and then we'll spend Christmas Day with my family, so my parents and my brother and his family. So I'm really looking forward to spending some time with the family, especially because for Thanksgiving we did the in-laws and then we did dinner with my parents, but my brothers and his family were at his wife's family for Thanksgiving, so I didn't get to see them. So I'm really looking forward to seeing his family over Christmas time. Either way, I'm still really excited for the holiday, and I can't believe it's almost here and the year is almost over, and I also recognize that I've been rambling for a while, so I'm just going to stop for a little bit and let you watch. Since Cherry Bomb is my only solid, I'm going to go ahead and cap those nails in clear and activate them before I move on to the glitters, and that will prevent any glitter contamination getting on my solid nails. The next color I'm going to be using is Pretty Sugar, which is a fine glitter, and it's white iridescent rainbow glitters, and this is just so beautiful. So this is going to go on my middle finger, and it's going to be 2 full dips of that as well. Obviously this is a sheerer color, so the more dips you do, the more opacity you get, but I just leave it at 2 because this is just going to be the backdrop for my wreath design. So I wanted something a little bit more neutral. Now I will say I do have a layer of a very sheer pink builder gel on my nails. So you do see that coming through. So it's not Pretty Sugar that has like that sheer pink color. It's just the base of my nail color, which you see, which is why it looks a little more pink than it actually is. I'm also going to be using Pretty Sugar for my ornament design on my thumb, but I'll kind of explain that process when I get to that. I feel like Pretty Sugar would be a really great glitter for the sugared nail look, which if you're not familiar with a sugared nail look, it's basically just applying a layer of gel top coat. Generally, you use gel for it. You sprinkle on the glitter, you cure it for a full 60 seconds, and then you don't top coat it, and it's got that raw glitter look to it that makes it extra sparkly. Obviously, there's a texture thing with it, but using gel top coat, the glitters stay put. They don't really shed or fall off, which is really great. You probably could do the same with dip base as well. I'm just not sure how well the glitters stay because I generally always use gel whenever I do the sugared look. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not sure whether I've done a sugared nail tutorial on this channel before. I'll have to go back and look. But if that's something you're interested in seeing, let me know down below in the comments and I can work on that. I went ahead and capped Pretty Sugar in clear and activated off camera because I didn't want to risk it getting contaminated with the red and green glitters of Last Christmas. So Last Christmas is the last dip that I'm going to be using, and this was one of ManiBoss's Friday deals a couple weeks ago now, I believe. So every Friday, ManiBoss has a new Friday deal. Usually it's a duo, sometimes it's a trio, sometimes it's existing dips, sometimes it's new dips. Last Christmas was a new dip that was created for a trio. So the trio was Last Christmas, Cherry Bomb, and then there was another green glitter. The name is escaping me right now, but it was a beautiful trio and Last Christmas was a part of it. And so for the Friday deals, obviously the colors that she has for the Friday deal are on sale. So it's really an awesome thing to grab if they're colors that you're wanting to have in your collection. And I just looked it up because it was bugging me. So the green glitter was Holly Jolly. So the trio was Last Christmas, Holly Jolly, and Cherry Bomb. So Cherry Bomb was an existing color, and then Last Christmas and Holly Jolly were new colors created for the trio. But this glitter is so much fun. So it's fine red glitters, and then it's got smaller hex glitters of red and green. And it's just so fun and so festive. I actually did get pretty good coverage of just one dip of that, and I didn't do pour over with this because I thought the glitters were small enough. So I'm just going ahead and tapping the jar against my table because I want some of those bigger glitter pieces to be on the surface of the jar because they are heavier, they do tend to sink, so I want to bring more of them to the surface of the jar. So I'm going to apply my dip base to my entire nail, and then as best as I can, I'm going to try to lay my finger flat into the jar to pick up more of those larger glitter pieces. Before my dip base fully dries on me, I'm just going to press down, making sure my glitters are laying flat. If there are any that are kind of half off my nail, I'll go ahead and readjust them to make sure they're fully on my nail because I don't want to file through these glitters. So you can see it's got really great coverage after the second dip, and I think it really helped that I tapped the jar to bring those larger pieces to the surface. And I laid my finger flat in it so you can see I've got the good coverage of the bigger glitter pieces now. I'm going to leave in just a little bit of my filing process just so you can see how quick and easy it is, and I didn't even use an e-file just because these dips applied so beautifully. So the first thing I'm using is this really thin file that I got off of Amazon. I'll leave the link for these down below in the description. I love them. I think they are perfect for cleaning up your cuticle area and sidewalls because they're so thin, so they just kind of fit right in there in the groove and help you get really clean lines. So with this file, I just make sure that I'm going around my cuticle area, making sure I'm getting into that groove and making sure everything's all nice and clean. I make sure to go around my sidewalls, making sure those are straight and clean as well. And that's the only thing I do with this file. I just like it for my sidewalls and cuticle area, but I don't really use it on the surface of my nails. I know some people actually like to use metal nail files to get around their cuticle areas and sidewalls because those are super thin as well. I do have a couple of them and they're okay for me, but my preference is these files. I feel like the metal files aren't gritty enough, so I feel like I don't get enough filing from them, if that makes sense at all. So really it's a matter of personal preference on what you prefer to use. The next file I'm going to use is a regular 100/180 bridge file. This is a brand new file, so I want to make sure that I'm seasoning it first so I don't cut up my skin. So I'm just taking the edges of the new file and I'm running that against an older file, and that kind of dulls around the edges so you don't cut your skin. So the first thing I'm doing with this file is making sure that my free edge is straight. So I kind of file perpendicular to my nail just to make sure that my free edge is straight, and then I'm just going around my cuticle area and my sidewalls and my free edge, just making sure those are smooth and nice and thin because that's where I don't want bulk. Really the bulk is going to be at that apex area, so around like the middle of my nail, but I want it to be thin around my cuticle area, sidewalls, and free edge. So I'm just making sure those are smooth and thinned out. Once I've filed down my sidewalls and cuticle area, I'm going to go ahead and give my nails a quick buff. So this is going to be on the entire surface of my nails. So this is a 150 grit buffer that I have from ManiBoss as well. And I'm just going to quickly go across my nail. I also want to make sure that I'm getting my free edge as well because my nails are square. Sometimes you can have sharp edges and scratch yourself. So I want to make sure that my edges are smoothed out a little bit as well. hope seeing a little bit of my filing process was helpful. I went ahead and did my glitter nails off camera, so now we're going to get into a little bit of my nail art. So I am using my 2-in-1 gel base and top coat from ManiBoss, and I'm just applying a little bit of that to my resin palette from Resonating Crafts, RVA, because I'm going to use that as my base for my nail art. Starting with the ornament I'm going to create on my thumb, I'm going to use a dotting tool. So I pick up a little bit of that 2-in-1 gel on my dotting tool and I place it on the center, or as close to the center as I can, on my thumb. And I'm just going to slowly build that out and make that larger. Now, however large you want it, that's really your choice. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it, determining how big I want to make this ornament. And for me, I wanted to make it cover most of my thumb. So I do make it a little bit larger, but I just do like a little bit at a time using the dotting tool, just because I know if I try to freehand a circle, it doesn't really end up being a circle. So I just find it easier to start with the dotting tool and then kind of make it larger from there in a circular motion. Once I'm happy with the size of the circle that I created, I'm really going just for size, and I can kind of clean up, which is the advantage of using gels. I'm going to use Pretty Sugar and I'm going to pour that over the wet gel. So I haven't cured yet, so I'm pouring over Pretty Sugar into the wet gel, and you can kind of see how that looks. And before I cure, I'm cleaning it up. So I didn't really get a clean circle with the gels, so now's my opportunity to kind of tuck in the sides, make it a little more straight before I cure it. So that's why I like working with gels when I'm doing nail art, because it doesn't set until I cure it in my lamp. So I have plenty of time to adjust to it. So I'm just taking this flatter end of the cuticle stick and I'm just pushing in the sides, making sure they're as clean as I can get them before I cure it. And then once I'm happy with that, I'll give it a cure in my lamp for a full 60 seconds. After I gave it a full cure, I want to make sure that I'm dusting off the excess glitter. And then I decided I felt like Pretty Sugar didn't pop as well against the red of Cherry Bomb. So I decided to do a second layer of it. So this time, because I already have kind of the base shape, I'm going to use my liner brush. These are a set from Beetles that I got off of Amazon. I'll leave that link down below in the description as well. So I'm just tracing the whole area, making sure everything is fully covered in that gel. And then once I have it, I'm not going to cure. I'm going to pour on another layer of Pretty Sugar and then give that a full cure for 60 seconds. Once that's fully cured, I'm going to dust off the excess powder and then we'll get into a little string and bow. For my accents, I decided to use this glittery gold charm gel art paint from the Daily Charm as my accents, and I decided to use the yellow gold because I thought that would look the best against the red. And the first thing I want to do is, because I felt like Pretty Sugar didn't pop against Cherry Bomb as much as I had hoped, I decided that it may look good to outline the whole ornament using this glittery gold. I love these gel paints from the Daily Charm. I find them super easy to use and they have really great opacity, especially the glitter ones. They are so fun. So I have all three colors. So there's the glittery gold one that I'm currently using. There's also a glittery silver and a glittery rose gold. I will say though, they're not as glittery as I had hoped they would be. They're a little more metallic than glittery. Although with the gold one, I do see more glitter than I do with the silver, and I still really enjoy using them. So once I have the outline of my ornament done, I'm going to draw a string from the top of the ornament to the free edge of my nail. So that's going to be kind of where the ornament hangs. I haven't cured yet, and I'm now going to create a bow. So the bow is going to be where the ornament meets that string, that hanging string. So it's just going to be one loop on one side of the string and then another loop on the other side of the string. And then I'm just going to draw like a little curvy line down from the bow to where like the ribbons are. And then once I'm happy with that, I'm going to make sure to give it a full cure for 60 seconds, and then I will be done with my ornament. Oh, and I did forget to mention, I did switch to my Painted Desert 5mm liner brush because it is a thinner brush than the Beetles brush. Because this bow is so small, I thought the Beetles brush was a little too thick to use for such delicate nail art. For my middle finger, I'm going to create a wreath using the glitter from last Christmas. So I'm using the 2-in-1 gel base and top coat and my dotting tool as well. So I'm getting some of that gel on my dotting tool and I'm creating an open circle on my middle finger. I'm going to make it as centered as I can, and I can just kind of adjust it a little bit, but I don't want to make it a full closed circle like it did the ornament on my thumb. And I apologize. I know it's really hard to see the clear gel that I'm doing, but hopefully you get the idea of what I'm doing. So I only need a little bit of glitter, so I'm just pouring a little bit of Last Christmas into my Chaos Gemerald, and now I'm taking my cuticle stick and I'm taking the pointy end of that. I am dipping it into a little bit of the gel. I'm uncured at this point, and I'm just individually picking up one piece of glitter at a time, sometimes a couple, it's fine, and I'm just putting that around the wet gel. I'm making that circle for the wreath. So I can move them around as needed because the gel isn't cured yet, but I'm kind of getting around that shape of what I need for the wreath. And I want to mix up the green and the red so there's not like a whole big area of just green. I'm kind of going in between like a bunch of green and then some red thrown in so that I get a good mixture of color around my wreath. I thought I'd spare you the monotony of watching me hand place the rest of the glitters on the entire wreath, so I went ahead and finished that off, cured it for a full 60 seconds, and now I'm using the same glittery gold gel art paint, and I'm applying a bow to the top of my wreath. So I'm creating those 2 hoops at the top and then creating the ribbons going through to the middle of the wreath. And then once I've got that in place, I'm going to cure that for a full 60 seconds. And now we're almost finished, but of course I have to top coat all my nails. So I am using the same 2-in-1 gel base and top coat. So I'm making sure I'm capping my free edge first. So I'm just running the brush at my free edge, and then I'm going to apply a thin, even layer of gel base to the entire surface of my nails. I like to cap my free edge first so I don't create a ledge. And once I'm done getting a thin, even layer of top coat on all my nails, I'm going to cure for a full 60 seconds. Once my nails are fully cured and cooled off, I'm going ahead and wiping off the surface of my nails using some isopropyl alcohol and a lint-free wipe just to make sure I'm removing any residual chemicals of the gel. As always, I'm going to finish off my mani by rehydrating my cuticles, but this time instead of using cuticle oil, I am using butter lotion from Scales of a Mermaid. Slay Girl is from the newly released Woodsy collection, and this one is my favorite scent of the collection because I am a big fruity person, and this one just smells so delicious and is so hydrating. And I'm sure you noticed through the entire video just how crusty my cuticles and skin were looking, especially with the colder weather. But now look how hydrated and non-greasy my skin looks. I absolutely love this butter lotion formula. So anyway, here we are with the finished look, just a traditional Christmas mani. I hope this video is helpful. I hope you found it enjoyable. And if you did, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up. It lets me know to continue creating content like this. And it also helps YouTube recommend me to others, which helps grow my channel. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I upload content every Monday and Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.